I think we are officially going to be putting the zero draft to bed. When I shut out the world, they never seem as interested, always trying to cling to some sense of humanity. So I dive into their world instead. Dark, quiet, cold. Hello, we're back, me with my blue headphones, and I'm just happy to be talking about Project House of Stone today. It has been a crazy couple of weeks. I've had a lot of health stuff happening and personal things happening. One of my best friend's wedding was this past weekend that I was in alongside my husband, so we have been busy and tired. And to be quite honest, I've just had so much happening this month that it's gotten in the way of writing. With the launch of the podcast and all this other great content I'm trying to make for you guys, I feel like I've been focusing more on my content creator and podcast host side than my actual writing side. And I want to bring myself back, which is why I did that Q4 reset. And I'm feeling good heading into the month of October. I'm only slightly panicking because I did have a goal set for myself to finish my zero draft by the time that this writing vlog comes out. So this is me kind of panic writing and finishing this zero draft because I am trying to write my full prose first draft by the end of this year. So this writing vlog is going to be like my first real attempt at a vlog. Might be a little chaotic. I'm not as good as the other YouTubers, so we'll see how it goes. It's gonna be a bit of a true look at what I'm doing, which is me rushing to finish a deadline. Already today has been a bit crazy. I worked on stuff for the podcast, worked on stuff for the YouTube channel, did my actual job. I am doing chores, and then I tried to tidy up my office because it's gotten out of control. Now it's about the end of the workday, so it's 4:30, and I didn't get to write this morning because I had just kind of a slow start, and that's okay. So I'm going to try to write tonight, but it's going to be a long night at the computer because I'm actually interviewing someone for the podcast at 5 p.m. Then I'm going to have a little bit of a writing break for myself. And then I have a writing marathon kickoff call tonight. I joined the writing group that I talked about with Kath Richards on the first Pen to Pod podcast episode, where her and her friends have this writing marathon that goes from October 1st. I think it's till the end of the year or November. But it is a writing marathon where we set a word count goal and we go for it. Even though they are based on word count, I'm still gonna stay true to my goals for the rest of this year for Q4, which is writing every single day and finishing my first draft. So I do have the kickoff call for that tonight, which I'm really excited about. So depending on how I feel, I wanna try to write after that as well. So I will check back in after I've written some words tonight, and I'll let you know how it's going. I think this might be my first podcast no-show. It's okay. I have tea. candle, popcorn, and I can still write. Every time I come on and write about my project, I'm doing something new. But I guess this goes back to why I wanted to even make a YouTube channel in the first place. Yes, I like talking about writing content and I had no one to discuss that with, but I also still wanted to document my journey of finally bringing this story to life. When I first started making videos, I started going into draft 1 and it was not going well. I was in my head, editing every single word, not motivated at all. I was second guessing everything. So then I decided to do the 0 draft, which really just became a really intense chapter by chapter outline. But then I started losing steam with that as well. Changed the outline multiple times. I'm finally at an iteration that I like, but you could tell because like in the beginning of my chapter by chapter outline, my chapters details are like pages long, and towards the end they're pretty short. And I'm sitting here trying to be like, okay, this week I'm going to finish my 0 draft, this really intense chapter by chapter outline, and I think I'm realizing I need to pivot again. I'm just ready to write. Like, okay, now I think I'm ready to write. Like, October is about to be here. I want to just be writing. And so in that writing session, I actually stopped doing my 0 draft and I'm starting on my first draft. I think we are officially going to be putting the 0 draft to bed. I need to remember everything I tell you guys, that I know the first draft is going to be horrible for the most part, that I know it's not going to have everything, and I just need to get out of my head and get onto the page. I'm officially breaking up with the 0 draft for this project. Welcome. We're in the first draft. Welcome to draft 1. I started writing it. I'm excited. Is it good? I don't know. I'm trying not to think about it. I got this Alpha Smart that looks like a giant, it looks like a giant like old GameCube or Game Boy, an old like Game Boy. And I was influenced by Becca because Becca is my #1 influencer. Anything Becca does, I do. And I'm obsessed with it. I got the older version. Alpha Smart is now free, right? And their newer versions are like $750. Which I just can't, guys. I can't justify that. So I got this one. I think having like that small of a screen is helping me to not overanalyze my words or get distracted by the multitudes on the internet. So that's what I did tonight. I'm jumping into draft 1. I'm writing out chapter 1 based on the notes that I had for the chapter by chapter outline. And when I get back to the point in the 0 draft where I stopped outlining, if things are still going the same way, because I think the outline could still change, and I need that detail that I did for all the other chapters, then I will pick back up with the outline, if that makes sense. Hello, it is Tuesday morning. I did not end up writing last night after the writing team kickoff because it ended at 9 p.m. and I am a grandmama, so I got ready for bed. But it is the morning of Tuesday and I have already done my laundry, dishes, and went to the dentist. So I'm feeling productive and good today. and I'm going to keep that momentum going, and we're going to go to my favorite coffee shop to write and have some breakfast, and then I will chat about it with you after. For my job, other projects, and I ended up writing, I see you, Mo. Don't mess with anything on my computer. I ended up writing 678 words, which I think I showed you in the last clip, on the Alpha Smart. Whoa. Oh, Mo's gonna love that. It's like a geeky. I don't know if you can hear him do that. He's like chattering because there's light reflecting. Oh my gosh. Yeah, so he chatters, and so we call little light rays geekies in this household. Geeky. Gosh, I have not had makeup on all day. We are raw and real today. We've been raw and real, but I've still been kind of having like this allergic reaction, or I don't know, a histamine response of some sort. So I haven't been wearing makeup because it's just irritating my skin. Like, I have like adult acne. Yay, at almost 30. I always have. And with PCOS and like hormonal issues, it's very common, but my face has been like just more red. I don't know. But you guys, we're friends. Like I said, we're friends. Okay. So I wrote 678 words in chapter 1 today at the coffee shop, and I plan on writing some more this afternoon. When I was about to leave the coffee shop, my cousin in my friend group chat mentioned that she was eating soup, and I got a hankering for soup. So I did pick a soup, run to the store, buy things for said soup, and put the soup on the crock pot. So I'm excited to have soup later, even though the weather isn't exactly fall weather because climate disasters, but I'm manifesting fall weather with soup. I want to talk a little bit about what I wrote today though, because it's been interesting. So last night I decided to kill the zero draft, which I just ended. I didn't completely get all the way through my 50 chapters that I've outlined. And in my zero draft, I was putting a lot of detail for what would happen each chapter. I was writing like dialogue chunks. I was writing kind of like snippets of words that I wanted to put in the chapter, whether it be dialogue, setting, details, etc. I just kind of got sick of it. So now we're just writing chapter 1. But what's so interesting is last night I was writing chapter 1 in third person. It's how I always planned having this draft. And when I went to write today, third person didn't feel right. It just didn't feel right. And I think that's so interesting because like voice has been on my mind a lot lately. I went to a talk about voice for the literary Cleveland conference called Incubator recently. And then I also ended up doing a podcast episode on voice because I've been thinking about my own writer voice so much. One thing I talked about in that episode was your voice is you, the author, like you, the writer, and you, the character. I've always been nervous to write in first person because I've been worried that I can't write as me, the character, enough, and that me, the writer, will shine through more. But I started writing the chapter again in first person today, just like from where I left off yesterday, and I like it so much more. And so then I rewrote what I wrote yesterday in first person just now, and I want to kind of go through what those sound like because, I don't know, I'll be vulnerable. I'm jumping to my first draft. I need to just get the fear over, and I'll share with you guys a little bit of what I wrote, but I kind of want to share like the first paragraph or so of what I wrote in third person versus first person. I'd love to know your thoughts. Let me know what you think sounds better. But right now I'm digging first person, even though that might cause some issues down the line. That's a future Michaela problem. Just wait, in a couple weeks I'm going to be like, past Michaela, you suck for making me think too hard about point of view. So I'm gonna go to the screen and read from the third person paragraph first, and then I'll read from the new one. The average person may not admit that they are afraid of the dark, but they are. Afraid of the way it wraps itself around you on all sides, taking the oxygen out of the room. Cling wrap twisting closed. Helen sat in the middle of her apartment, her back up against the couch, feet firmly planted on the carpet. Her nails tangled in fibers, eyes covered by a blindfold that has surgically removed all sources of light. Some are afraid of the dark, but Helen is afraid of what the light brings her. The shadows cast under doorways and reflections in mirrors. Even with the blindfold, she could feel them present, trying to get her attention. I can't see you, you can't see me, thinks Helen, pulling her knees close to her chest like a child during hide and seek. The headphones bathed her senses in ambient sounds, making her feel weightless. Her apartment floated away, allowing Helen to float in the darkness, creating her own deprivation chamber. But she was still physically in her apartment, a one-bedroom in the flats. Okay, so what I wrote today is, the average person may not admit that they are afraid of the dark, but they are. Afraid of the way it wraps itself around you on all sides, taking the oxygen out of the room. Cling wrap twisting closed. I sit in the fabricated darkness of my apartment. A makeshift blindfold tied around my head so tight that it pulls my skin with it. I wait and see if they come to me, even in the dark. When I shut out the world, they never seem as interested, always trying to cling to some sense of humanity. So I dive into their world instead. Dark, quiet, cold. My apartment thermostat is set to as low as the building will allow. Headphones snuff out any hum of the city below me. It's become my nightly ritual to sit this way. Knees hugged tight to my chest, nails embedded in my skin. I'll sit like this until I fall asleep. The only time my illusions of nothing get interrupted is when my phone vibrates beneath me. I leave the vibrate on in case Zoya calls, but I haven't heard from her in 67 days. I've been counting like someone newly sober, collecting chips for every milestone. Okay, guys, rough draft, first draft doesn't have to be good. But I feel like what I wrote today sounds so much better. And I realized that when I was writing in third person, I was having a hard time. I don't know if this makes sense. Let me know if it does, but I was having a hard time like moving around the room. Like in third person, I guess I was just getting stuck on like the room. I was getting stuck on where she was, and I wasn't focusing on like what we need to be talking about in this first chapter, which is she can see ghosts and she hates it, and she's out of the medication that helps her to not see ghosts, as well as her best friend is missing. Shit ain't going well for Helen in the first chapter, and it was taking too long for me to like zoom into that. So first person allows me to jump into that way sooner, and I'm liking it. So that's new for me. I usually write in third person. I didn't realize how easy it was gonna be. Like, you don't really get to see it in what I read, but like how easy it is, at least in this first chapter, for me to jump into Helen's point of view. So I don't know. I'm excited. I'm excited to just be writing again and not feel like I'm in this planning stage and worrying so much about the content I'm making versus the writing I'm doing. And it seems to be that you guys also want to know what I'm writing. So let's just get to it, you know? Hallway because I need some more light to film, and I live in a century-old home that doesn't have any overhead lighting except from the hallway. So I got about 1,087 words, I think, total today, and I'm happy with that. I'm really excited about actually diving into this draft, and I just can't wait to share more with you guys now that I'm finally in the writing stage. And I really chalk a lot of that up to all of you, to making me feel comfortable with sharing my writing and feeling confident to get to this stage. So I'm happy I'm finally there. Hope you guys are excited to hear more about Project House of Stone. And if there's anything specific that you'd want me to talk about with my project, let me know. I promise I'll get better at vlogging. I don't really know what I'm doing, but I will try. If you haven't listened to my podcast, Pen to Pod, yet, go and check it out. And I will talk to you next time. Bye, writers.